Welcome to Elm Street, merch available now on sourkidsmerch.com.
Sour Kids Productions.
Yo, what's up? Welcome to Elm Street. I'm your boy, I'm your host, Money Elms. What's good with y'all out there, man? You know, like I always do at the beginning of every episode, you know, I want to thank the viewers. You know, I appreciate y'all for tuning in, you know, for the mad support. You know, y'all keep tuning in, you know, all the followers, subscribers, you know, I appreciate y'all. You know, salute to y'all. So, you know, we got a good show today, man. You know, I got a good guest tonight, and you know, I hope y'all enjoy this episode. And you know, I always like to hear some feedback. So make sure, you know, y'all hit up the comments. You know, so here we go. Let me go ahead and introduce my guest tonight. We got the one and only Mike Savage.
Yeah. What up?
What's good, baby?
Man, I'm just glad to be here. Blessed to be here. Appreciate you, you know, inviting me out, taking the time, you know, give me a little opportunity to just be myself and talk about what I got going on. So it's all love.
Oh, hell yeah, man. You know, I know we ran into each other a couple times, and I was like, you know, it's only a matter of time, you know what I mean?
For sure.
You know, so, hey, you know, you're here. That's what matters, and, you know, let's get it.
For sure. Yeah, no. Man, I like I said, I appreciate the invite. You know, we go way back, like decade back, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So running back into each other, me being back out there in the streets a little bit more, seeing you a couple times and seeing what you've done. Like I've seen you from not even doing none of this stuff to where you at now. So, you know, it's all love. And I'm, like I said, I just appreciate being here.
Did you hear about Beyoncé dropping that country record?
I did, man. Well, you know, Louis from Fort Worth, Louis the singer, is kind of making a big splash in country music. And honestly, like right now, I feel the country music is probably one of the most popular genres right now in the music industry.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense. Like I get why she's doing it, because, you know, she dropped a pop album, you know, a couple years back because it was kind of in, you know. So like I get it, but I don't fuck with it. Like I like country music.
Yeah.
I like certain artists. You know, I'm not gonna listen to George Strait or no old shit. I'm more like the modern shit. But like I think she's trying too hard. And I think it's a money grab. I think it's like I want to get in this lane because it's popping and get myself relevant and make this quick money.
You know, some people are saying that, you know, she wants to get that album of the year. You know, that she's been trying to get, bro. You know. But what's the name? What Taylor Swift comes through and she won it 3 times already?
Yeah, I think 3 times. I honestly, I don't even pay attention to those awards anymore, man. I think all that shit you can buy the awards depending on how much money you put in the record.
Yeah.
Like the fact that it's the #1 country singer or whatever, like I think that Billboard #1, I think she paid for that. You know, being an artist, like there's ways to make those numbers go up when you got money, you know, and you got plugs to different playlists. And so like I think it's I don't, you know, I'm a fan of Beyonce. I like some of her music, even that last pop album music. There's a couple songs that I would you know fuck with, but I think she's trying too hard. I think like she's just,
well, child, the Beehive might come after
hey,
you, bro.
fuck them. At least they'll be talking about me, goddamn. But nah, you know, like I said, I'm a fan of hers, but
yeah,
I just think she's trying too hard. She needs to stay in her lane. Like I'd rather hear some R&B shit from Beyonce.
But it's
shit.
Dolly Parton approved.
Man, you see, that's Illuminati right there, bro. You see how old she is, and she look, you know, she like, I don't know how she is, and you know, I don't know, bro. Like I said, you rub your elbows with the right people, and you pay the right people, all that shit can be possible. I don't like the song, bro. Like I don't like the song. I think it's forced. I think it's like corny. Like I just don't like it, you know. And I like country music, you know what I mean? I listen to everything. I listen from Red Hot Chili Peppers to Morgan Wallen to, you know, Tory Lanez. I like a lot of Tory Lanez music. what's his name? Young Blue. I like Young Blue. Like there's certain artists.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a big fan of a lot of rap artists today just because I think it's so watered down. People saying the same shit different ways and sound the same and shit. So, you know, I don't hate on nobody. You know, everybody doing their thing. That's cool. But like I'm picky about music, but I like a lot of different music. So
yeah. I mean, same here, you know. I listen to a little bit of everything. It don't matter the genre. I'm not, you know, but first love is of course rap, you know, hip hop.
oh yeah.
You know, but you know, other than that, you know, I jam out to a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I listen to everything too, bro. Like I grew up with my dad, like my uncles and shit would listen to rock and classic rock, and my dad he played in Tejano bands. He played bass, so like I'd go with him to Jamaica's and shit, and he'd play bass, and I like Tejano music. You know, he played bass one time for Shelly Lattes and some other people. So you know, like I'm real diverse when it comes to music. You know, I don't like everything. But I do like, I think good music is good music. If you like music, like you're gonna like good music regardless of the genre. So I don't ever try to limit myself with one genre, because if you do, especially like rap these days, you're gonna just think about trapping and killing and fucking hoes and shit, you know what I mean? So I'm like, gotta widen it up a little bit and talk about other shit too and listen to other shit, because at the end of the day, whether people realize that all that music shit gets in people's heads and plays a part on how they think, their perception of life, and how they feel about themselves and how they feel about and how they see things. So you know, I didn't always feel that way, you know, being like growing up, like when I started rapping in the TRS days, when I first started rapping, you know, I fucked with rap hard. Like it was Hot Boys, Cash Money, it was No Limit, Master P, you know, all that old school like trap rap, like you know 3-6 Mafia, you know, that's what I jammed. And when I started, you know, rapping, that was kind of the music that I, you know, the shit that I talked about. You know, I was diverse, you know, I did other shit, but you know, that shit plays a part. And now that I'm older, I kind of realize that, because, you know, I got kids and, you know, I want the right type of thoughts, right type of things that they're thinking about and how they're feeling. You know, and I realize that shit plays a part on how people think and what kind of moods you're in. If you're feeling sad and you put on your favorite song, you ain't gonna feel sad no more. You're gonna be like, okay, shit, it ain't that bad. But if you're sad and you put it in sad music, now you even be more.
You know, so, music, you know, has frequencies, you know, frequencies, vibrations that, you know, can alter and change your mood, bro.
I got a crazy story when it comes to that, bro. Like, you know, I'm getting up there in age a little bit. My shoulder's been killing me for like the past like 6 to 8 months, bro. And I was like, I'm at the point like, man, I have to get surgery, or you know, I got to figure something out. So, you know, I started looking up like frequencies, and there's this frequency, I think it's 542 frequency, that's supposed to help with your DNA repair and healing. Bro, I shit you not, bro. I listened to that shit. I put it on and went to sleep and listened. I woke up the next day and my shit was like, oh shit, like 3 days in a row. And I'm like, oh shit, my shit went from like 60% to like 90% overnight. So I'm like, damn, this shit's crazy. Nah, there's no way. I stopped for like a week and my shoulder was just killing me again, bro. I started about 4 days ago again, and my shit's been good. Like, I'm not saying it's still like not where I want it to be, but it feels way better. I'm like, damn, this shit's crazy.
You sure it's not a placebo effect?
Hey, I'll take it, goddamn it. I'll fucking take it. In that case, let me placebo me $1 million, goddamn it.
Hell yeah, man. But well, we'll see what Beyonce ends up doing with that. You know, with the single, if she follows it up with another single, or maybe ends up dropping an album.
I would have to hear more country music, her to respect her as somebody that's actually trying to do it with pure intentions, because she likes the music and she wants to put out stuff. Not somebody that's like, hey, somebody write me some songs and let me sing it just so I can get my name out there. And since the genre's popping, like there's more money because of how modernized country music has become. Like there's more people that listen, so there's more money.
Well, yeah, you know, it's more of a, you know, it's a bigger lane, you know, country music, you know.
No, for sure. So, you know, I understand why she gets it, but like I'd have to like really hear a whole album and to respect her as a true, like trying to put out a true country album.
All right, so we're gonna jump into the interview portion of the show, man. We'll get to know our guests and you know, and you know, get to know them a little bit more. So go ahead, man. Let them know where you from, bro.
So I mean, you know, we go way back, you know, probably a decade since when I first met you with Vegas. Yeah. You know, I'm originally from Lubbock, Texas. I grew up there till I was like 14. Parents got divorced. Mom got a new man. He was from this area and moved over here. I eventually moved over here too. You know, I like to say I'm a DFWian, like from Dallas, you know, even though I was born and was raised in Lubbock for like the first 13, 14 years of my life, but I actually came from like a boy to a man in Dallas. So like, that's the part of me that makes me who I am, is just being here. And, you know, I grew up in Irving. Well, once I moved, it was in Irving, between Irving and Grand Prairie. Yeah, that's where I'm at now, in Grand Prairie. So, you know, it's crazy. Time flies by. You know, I when I moved over here, you know, straight out the jump, 18, moved out. I had a job. I had a full-time job in high school. I had to do work release, so I got off of school early, was working, and had my own whip. As soon as I was 18, could sign a lease, I got out on my own. You know, me and my homeboy, we got an apartment. You know, I was making money. I had, you know, full-time job. I started hustling on the side. You know, I was young, trying to make some bread, come up and shit. So, you know, eventually, you know, in high school, I would rap at, you know, parties, you know, get fucked up at high school parties and shit, in little rap circles, and start rapping. So
what high school did you go to?
I went to I went to Lubbock High in Lubbock. Well, actually no, I it's crazy because in Lubbock, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade is called junior high. Okay. And high school is 10th, 11th, 12th. So when I moved from over there to over here, 9th grade was in high school. Okay. So, you know, I went to Lubbock High over there, and then I went to Nimitz in Irving, and then kind of got into some truancy issues. I switched schools to Irving High to avoid them. And then, you know, motherfuckers didn't like me at Irving High because I was from Nimitz. So, you know, I got into a couple fights at Irving, and then I end up graduating from Winfrey Academy, which is like alternative school, but I graduated early. Like, they gave me opportunity. Like, I was a smart kid, bro. Like, I always passed all my classes. The shit was so easy for me that I skipped, because I'm like, man, I know I got this shit, and I still pass the grade. I still be passing the classes. I just wouldn't go to the classes. So, you know, they, you know, said, hey, you do all your schoolwork, you do it on your own terms, however long it takes you. That shit, 2 months. I was in and out. I graduated. I waited to that June to graduate, but I was done with school like in December. So, you know, I had that whole time off, and I was just working. You know, I had my own apartment. You know, I grew up kind of fast just because I came from 5 kids. I was the oldest of 5 kids. My parents didn't graduate high school. So, you know, it was a struggle growing up. A lot of no presents for Christmas, you know, a lot of bread, bologna. And I didn't even like bologna, so it was only bread type moments.
You get the hand-me-downs.
No, I was the oldest. Oh, so all my brothers got the hand-me-downs, but no, you know, I was the oldest. So I was, you know, always the first one to kind of go through shit or deal with shit. So growing up was pretty rough. You know, I had got burned on my face. That's where the, you know, my original rap name, TRS, The Real Scarface, came from. I was like a year and a half, heater exploded, blah, blah, blah. So I've been like this my whole life. Growing up, picked on motherfuckers to talk shit. So even like elementary, middle school, like pretty much every type of school I went to, I got into at least 1 fight, 2 fights, depending, because motherfuckers try to check me. I was kind of a hothead to a degree, just because my dad kind of gave me a chip on my shoulder, like, hey, don't shy away because you got that shit. Wear that shit proud. And if anybody says something, put them in their place. So, you know, I kind of grew up with that mentality in high school. Motherfuckers used to call me Scarface behind my back. Nobody used to tell me to my face, but like, oh, you know, that's Scarface. You know, that's what they called me. So when I started rapping, you know, I did the rapping, you know, at the parties and shit. You know, I already had 2 kids. My homeboy, you know, I was like 21, 22. And he's like, hey, you know, I remember you used to rap, We're starting a label. You want to? I said, cool, you know, fuck it. It was like a hobby thing at first. And like, I always had loved music, you know, since growing up. And I always loved rap, you know, from originally my first love was like R&B music, like Usher, you know, Jodeci, 112, you know, all those type of artists. And then it went from that to rap, you know, with No Limit and, you know, Master P, everything they were doing, the Cash Money, and then, like I said, 3 6 Mafia. So I love, like, I grew a love for R&B and rap. So like music always came naturally. Like I said, my dad had been playing bass, so I'd go up on stages and I'd do like they have like lip singing contests, but I would actually sing the song. And I didn't even really know Spanish. I mean, I know Spanish because my grandma only speaks all Spanish, so she would talk to me, so I learned. And then as I grew older, like I learned, so I could survive in Mexico or any Spanish state, but like I sound like a white boy when I talk sometimes. You know what I mean? I get my past tenses mixed up and shit. But you know, I was always kind of outgoing like that because of what my dad instilled in me. So, you know, when they came to me like, hey, what's up? You trying to? I was like, fuck it. And then I started rapping, and everybody kind of saw like, oh shit, like he's on a whole different level. So I started putting money into it, started getting studio time, started buying beats, and it grew from a passion like, nah, I'm gonna do this shit. You know what I mean? I just had my third kid, and, you know, I was like only like 23, 24. So I'm like, you know, I got to find a way to get out of this where I, you know, put my kids in a better position. And because of the no limits and the cash money, and I saw how they did it and what they did, I'm like, you know what? Not even that, bro. Somebody I didn't even talk about, SPM. SPM really influenced me as a rapper, not so much style wise, but just because he was Mexican and he was doing what he had did. And, you know, I grew up in the Artist Square times with the playing skills and the 89, the KNON Latin Fest and all that shit. So like seeing him and going to those, like, damn, a Mexican can do it. You know what I mean? Like he can, you know, be successful in rap. You know, whenever my boy came to me, I was like, fuck it, you know, I was like, you know, I can do this. I grew more confidence. I started dropping my own shit. I ended up getting signed to Ledbetter Records, where that's where I met Accomplice. We had the Money First Click. You know, you dropped the album, and then we kind of outgrew that label. Like, man, everything you can do, I can do for myself. So other than a chain, you know, because I got a big ass chain, you know, he got a big ass chain, and, you know, I had a studio and shit, but I eventually, like, you know, now I've been doing all my own engineering for about fucking 15 years already. And now I engineer for other people. I got my own studio. You know, I do videography shit, you know.
How long you been doing the videography?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because I didn't really like kind of see myself getting into that, you know, doing the artist shit. But you know, 2014, bro, I almost got signed to Universal Records. I had dropped Dream Girl. I put out videos. You know, I had a publicist. I had a manager, and, you know, he was putting money into radio promotion, and like my publicist had lined some shit up. But because, you know, I was part owner of Money First, and, you know, Money First, bunch of hustlers, I just say that much, were known for hustling. You like, the label's like, man, I don't know, he's kind of attached to these people, like, I don't know how that's gonna work. And then I ended up catching the case. I was on the way to Amarillo to open up for a Baby Bash, and Vegas was with me. I asked Vegas about this shit. We were going to go open up, and I ended up getting pulled over, and I had a zip in the whip, and we had just lit up like 2 blunts. And I was in my Beamer, but it had no front license plate. So I wasn't speeding or nothing, but like, oh, you don't got a front license plate? Woo! Hey, bro, you got to smell like weed. Next thing you know, they're searching the vehicle, and like, bro, whose is it? And I'm like, fuck. All right. So I ended up missing the show. I told him, I was like, man, just go do the show without me. Because, you know, me and my boy Certified at that point were doing the group shit to a degree. Like, I just dropped an album, but me and him had a lot of music together, and he was doing this, you know, he was on the show with me. So I was like, man, just go do the show without me. Like, man, we can't do this. So they ended up turning it back around. I spent a night in jail. My manager came and picked me up. I was in Henrietta, Texas. I was on probation for like 2 years because of that shit. But yeah, I ended up going through a divorce. It's crazy because it was like a year where a lot of shit was gonna be good, and then it ended up getting bad. I had to get a job for my probation officer because, like, how you making money? And I'm like, well, I'm doing the artist stuff. It sounded like we need to see more proof. So, you know, I ended up getting a job, ended up going through a divorce, and you know, I ended up falling back, and my kids ended up living with me like the first year and a half. So I went to straight daddy mode. You know, they were 8, 7, and 6 at the time. So you know, I fell back off that, but I never stopped doing music. I was still doing music because, you know, I had my own studio at that point, been recording myself. So, you know, I never stopped doing music, but, you know, my main focus was on my kids. At that time, I had went in from an entry-level job and ended up becoming a manager within like 2 years. And, you know, I'm all tatted up and shit, bro. And I'm in a corporate, you know, place, environment. And I'm like tatted on the neck, hands. But they respect me because they know, like, this dude's a smart dude. It don't matter what he looked like. He's all tatted up and shit, but he does his shit. He's on his shit. So, and I had a lot of respect of people underneath me because they had saw me go from entry-level to where I'm at. And they just fucked with me as a person. So, I did pretty good, but that job it consumed so much of me. You know, I was on a salary, so like it's like they slave drive you to a degree, you know what I mean? And I was so good at my job, like I got #1 team in like 3 different places. Like they had some centers in Wisconsin and other places, and my team like passed so like I got like awards and shit from them, but I just got so burnt out. And I was like, man, I can't do this shit. My kids were growing up, and you know, I wouldn't see them as much because I'd be at work, the shifts, or they'd be with my mom. So, you know, shit changed up on me real quick, and I ended up meeting the girl I'm with now. She got pregnant, and I already had 3 kids. Dang. So, you know, but at that time, you know, that passion for music was really like resurgent in me, and I'm like, man, I got to get back on it. So, you know, I originally went by TRS and Money First, but I was like, I can't come back. That I'm not that anymore. I'm not that person. The artist I'm trying to be is not that. So I rebranded myself as Mike Savage. You know, my middle name is Michael. All my family call me Mike. So it was just, you know, it was crazy. It had happened. You know, I was with somebody and we had saw something happen and I said some shit and he was like, damn, Mike Savage. Like he said Mike Savage because what I had said. And I was like, oh shit. Damn, okay. So I liked that and I ended up running with it in you know, 2018. I put out a video. I started putting out some music. I finally dropped the album 2020. I dropped another album 2022. And then I dropped the R&B album. And then I just dropped the group album. Well, it's already been a year. So
that R&B album was all solo R&B?
Yeah, bro. It was I had a couple features on there. I had a Cap G feature called Down on Me. It's a dope song. But it was like I said, R&B was like my first passion getting into music before. But I realized I didn't have the best voice. I mean, honestly, I was in all city choir in 6th grade. So, you know, I had some type of voice, but I wasn't like fucking Usher, you know what I mean? But, you know, thanks to autotune, and I like to say this right now, bro, I'm one of the first artists in DFW that started fucking with autotune back in 2006 when Lil Wayne did drop the Lollipop. I did a Lollipop freestyle and I started putting in all my music and motherfuckers used to hate, bro. Motherfuckers used to talk so much and all that. And then those same people today are using autotune. So, you know, I've seen it grow and I feel like I just grew as an artist. So when I rebranded Mike Savage, like, I still incorporated, but not with everything, but I still did. So the R&B album was a dope album. I just, you know, I do everything independently, bro. I write, mix, master, record. You know, what I ended up doing in 2020, the whole COVID shit kind of threw me off. I had been set up to work another corporate job, getting paid good money, and they canceled the classes and shit. So, you know, my girl was in to go full time at her job, and she started making good ass money. So, you know, we looked at like daycare and all that. I'm like, man, this shit ain't worth it. I'm gonna be working to pay for daycare. I was like, let me just hustle and on the side, you know, do what I can. Started doing like videos and shit. I started going to school in 2020. So I actually started going to school at the age of 37, bro. That's old. You know, you know, that's old. But I got my associate's degree with 5 kids while fucking the midst of COVID, while trying to do my music. So it was something. It was a goal for myself to prove to my kid. Appreciate it, bro. You know, I'm the second person in all of my family to get a degree. The first person was my little brother. But I'm the second to go to college and actually get a fucking degree. So I wanted to prove to myself and my kids, like, you know, you don't have no excuse to try to accomplish something. You know, not necessarily college, because I don't think college is for everybody, and I think you can be successful without college. But what I ended up going to school for was digital art and design, which was the graphics. I kind of had a pen and could draw already, and you know, I'm a creative person in general. Most people are. You know, if you like music, you know, there's usually a few things you're good at or you can do. So, you know, I was like, fuck it. I went to school for that. And it was with the intentions of like, you know what? I got a big network of people, artists and shit. I can do graphics for them. You know, I ended up taking a couple video classes, some animation classes, some editing classes. So I was like, okay, well, you know, now I can do videos too. So I was like, well, I'm going to do videos for myself. Yeah. So I've only shot 3 videos for myself, which is kind of fucked up because I'm lacking on myself. But, you know, I juggle so many hats and I got 5 kids, 4 dogs, you know. So, you know, there's a lot of shit I got going on. So, and I smoke a lot of weed. So, you know, the combination of all that. But that's one thing I always told, that, you know, I smoke a lot of weed and I had good ass grades and past college. So there's really nothing that can really stop you from doing something you really want to do except yourself. So, you know, now I'm doing the clothing brand. So, you know, it's all tied in together.
But how did you make the transition, or how did the clothing
come about? You know, I went to school I was going to school for digital art and design, and I was putting out the music. I started putting out some albums. So I'm like, you know what? I want merch. So I started designing my own merch, and I was like, at first it was the intentions of just merch for my rap. And it was called Savage Styles. Mike Savage, Savage Styles. Yeah. You know, and it was cool, but you know, it wasn't what I wanted. And I started thinking about it. I'm like, man, do I want to limit myself and only people that buy my shit because they like my music, or do I want people to actually buy my shit because it's dope? So, you know, after I graduated in December of 2022. January 2023, I got hired as a sales manager at a production or manufacturing place. So we manufacture all types of apparel, hats, all that type of shit. So I got hired as a sales manager. Within 3 months, I ended up getting promoted to production manager. The old sales manager had left. I already had all types of skills between sales and management that I had built over fucking the times that I worked and shit. So it was an easy transition. And at that point, I'm working with clothing brands, local clothing brands, big companies that are doing shit, and I'm seeing what's hot, what people are fucking with, and I'm like, you know what? I can do this shit. I did the digital art design. So all my designs, everything you see, I actually designed myself. I put together myself, and I manufactured it. Like the print work, tags, everything. I didn't just pay somebody to do it, which is cool. Nothing wrong, because people pay me to do this shit. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. But I actually do it myself. So it just means a little bit more to me, and I'm more involved. So it's crazy how it happened, bro, because I started doing the videography shit for We Lit, my boy Accomplice. That's my my day one, and he was doing the radio shit. He's got the We Lit Wednesdays on Kane to Win. So I was doing shit for him. I was getting work experience when it comes to videography and editing and graphics, all that through him, because he was giving me opportunities to, I was hooking him up and shit too. But that's when we kind of reconnected, and I saw you out there in events and stuff, and you had been starting doing that. So it all kind of just happened. It wasn't intentional, but it works for me because it's literally like I can do it all at one time to a degree. I'm still doing my music. My last album I dropped was in 2022. I think it was September 2022. So I didn't drop nothing last year, but man, I got like 2 albums ready. It's just like, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I've been unmotivated because I put so much time and money into that, and it hasn't got me where I wanted to be, or at least compensated me to a degree. So it's like, at the end of the day, you got to go where the money's at. You know what I mean? So I started doing more of the videography shit, and then now the clothing brand. And
if it wasn't for the music,
and you know what, I still got my network, and music's still there. I don't want people to think, I'm quitting, because I have my own studio. So I go in there whenever I want and record, and I have music that's ready to drop. If I wanted to drop an album beginning of March, I could, but there's more that goes into it, the marketing, the building up the hype, all that other shit. So when I'm ready, I'll drop shit. I definitely have shit, but right now my main focus that I've really been focused on is on the brand. So I end up dropping the Savage Styles, and I'm like, you know what, that ain't what that is. And I was kind of trying to find something that represents me and what I was trying to put out there as a brand. And I wanted to be in that Amiri, Louis Vuitton category, but more down to earth and more streetwear. They got a lot of streetwear too, but I wanted to be in that kind of that same category as them. So I was like, I was thinking, and I have French roots. My grandma, my dad's mom, was from Marseilles, France. So she was Spanish. She knew Spanish, but she knew French. She was Spanish, grew up, raised in France. So she was French. So she was French, Spanish. Yeah. She didn't get in with my grandpa, and he was Mexican. He was Mexican-American. So, I actually have family in France that they connect with me through Facebook. Told me I could go at any time. One day I plan to go out there because it's just dope. My grandma was from there. That's where she grew up. I'd like to see that. My grandma, my granddad on my dad's side died when I was young, bro, under the age of 12. So I never really got to experience them and really get to know them and their background and their family. So it's always something I got on my bucket list to do. But, I wanted to incorporate that. So, the name of the brand is called Aimer Vivre, which means love to live. I got that because when I was coming up with shit, I had tatted this shit on my fucking neck. Live to love, love to live, when I was 20, 21. So, I was at first, I was just love to live. I'm like, man, I want to make it more exotic. So I just threw it in French, and Aimer Vivre means love to live. So, my motto is live to love, love to live. And what that basically means is live to love, live to love your family, to love what you do, to love just being alive, and then love to live, enjoy your shit. You know what I mean? Don't just be lame, live your life, love to live. So, I try to put out more positive shit in my designs when it comes to like love or just positivity. I don't really try to do any of the, I have some skull shit here and there, but like I try to do more angels and like more just positive, like love type designs. And, people that go check out the website, they'll see what I'm talking about. Like, I started doing the streetwear, I got some hoodie sets and, shit's been going great, bro. Like I just took it, like dropped the line in September. I'm in 3 stores right now. I'm in Heights District, in Dallas. I'm in Armir Market at Redbird. And then I'm at Static DFW in West Dallas. So like I already got stores that are fucking with me. I've been trying to build up my online presence. I'm still, I'm a natural born hustler. So, hit me on the DM, Facebook, Instagram, we can make it happen type shit. So, it's been going good. Like I said, Rasheed Rice, Super Bowl winning wide receiver, Kansas City Chiefs. Hey, he's rocking my shit, bro.
That feel good, right?
Oh, bro. Like the crazy thing is about he sent me that picture of him coming off the jet. Like he didn't even have to do that, and he did that. So that showed me right there he fucks with it. Like, hey, bro, look, I'm repping your shit. And then, probably about 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the Super Bowl, like, I follow him on Instagram. On his story, bro, he was in like the lunchroom joking around with Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and he had my jumpsuit on. I'm like, bro, this is his story. Like he's just showing his part of his life, what he's doing at that moment, and he's rocking my shit. So I'm like, bro, I was ecstatic. So, I ended up selling out them hoodies. I've been sold out for about 3 weeks. Matter of fact, I'll be back in stock this Tuesday. It's already kind of out of the cold. I mean, we still got a little bit of time. And my hoodie set is one of those all year round. It's not like super heavy that it's like only when it's cold. And nowadays motherfuckers be wearing hoodies like during the summer, bro.
Shit, fuck, that's Kenny right there, man.
Hey. Ain't nothing wrong with it, what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with it. So, I'm about to be back in stock, and I'm sure they're gonna fly, bro, because I've been having people hit me up like, hey, you got it back in stock, I'm like, it's coming.
You wouldn't believe how many people go out there and buy hoodies in the summer, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I believe it. I believe it now. Like I said, my son too, my 17-year-old son, bro, like he wears a hoodie every day. Every day. It's a different hoodie, but he wears a hoodie every day. Cold, summer, spring, fall, it don't matter. And I'm like, why? He's like, I just like wearing a hoodie.
So is this, hey, I appreciate this hat. So is this the one of the hats?
that's one of my main logos, one of my simple logos. It's an A and a V, but the V is a heart. So, love to live to love. The heart represents that. And then it's a V, so Amir VV. So
it's dope.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Like I'm about to run a spring sale at the beginning of March. So matter of fact, anybody who tunes into this and uses the code Elm Street, 20% off.
Oh, there you
March
go.
1st. You got to use the promo code though, Elm Street. But yeah, March 1st, I'm gonna have a sale, and that code is only for them though. Like I'm gonna have a sale regardless.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I got a lot of cool drops. I got this hoodie set. I got a face mask. It's a cool spring because spring is not always like hot. It's kind of cool, especially here in Texas. Like you don't even know. It'd be cold in the morning, it'd be hot as fuck during the day, start raining in the night, so I dropped another hoodie set. I got like 3 or 4 different shirts. I got a lot of dope shit. I just updated the website. I got some more updates coming. So I'm excited, bro. Like it's become my new passion. You know what I mean? Where all my focus and energy has been is because I'm a creative person. So I'm actually designing them and then putting it together and promoting. I'm one man show right now. I'm doing everything, but like that's how it is. I would love to be successful overnight, but I've been doing rap for almost 20 years and it's not really where I want it to be, but I haven't given up. So, I'm a consistent, persistent person. So this is like the clothing brand is going to be the same thing. You know what I mean? Like it's just the beginning. I had just dropped a new crew neck, man, about 3 weeks ago. Over the weekend, I was sold out. You know what I mean? So like, I know people are starting to fuck with my shit. I just, I got to get it out there to more people. So this has, been a blessing. You just invited me here, give me an opportunity to kind of speak on it more and put it out there and get people aware that Amir VV right here in Dallas, Texas,
coming,
you know what I mean?
Baby.
For sure.
Yeah. Shit, I like to see the hustlers, bro, because, I'm a hustler myself. So, when I see motion, I see people moving a certain type of way, I'm like, man, I like that. So I like to shine light, on individuals like yourself that are out here, trying to do something positive, and it still represents hip hop.
Oh, for sure, bro. Like it's streetwear. You know what I mean? So there's a definitely that culture embedded into it. Is just my version of it. You know what I mean? And my way to kind of bring it streetwear, but kind of elevated streetwear, positive streetwear, not so much negativity. Most of my designs, I'm talking about love. I'm talking about life and living. And just because I know there's already all the opposite out there. Brands that are on the skulls and the evil shit, and it's so pushed. It's awesome. It's cool. I already know that's out there. I'm trying to I'm trying to separate myself and do something that, one, represents what I want to put out there, and two, something I think people will fuck with, and can kind of understand the point of the brand and what it stands for. So
yeah, that's dope, man. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the little gifts you brought me, bro.
For sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. And plug it in, bro. Let them know where they can find the website and everything.
The website is avivre.co. Real easy. It's amirvivriclothing.com, but that shit's so long. I was like, man, I gotta have something shorter. So it's just avivre.co. But yeah, definitely check me out. Like I said, I'm running a special in the beginning of March, just to put more shit out there. I'm blessed enough to be able to work for the manufacturing company that makes it. So, being out of stock isn't always going to be like that. And depending, like that one specific hoodie said, like those blanks are real rare. And the place that I got them from, they had been out of stock for the longest. So, it was a waiting game for them to get back in stock, but that's how popular that style of that blank was. So, other than the hoodie set, like everything else, like it's on deck, and it's fire. You got to check me out. I got a lot of different dope designs. Like I said, I do them all myself. So, it's really a part of me. There's nothing wrong. I deal with brands all the time that buy designs from different designers, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But I just like the fact that I'm doing it myself. So it really represents what I want it to be. Creating and that was all thanks to me going to school, and for me learning how to bring to life my designs and actually create them. So it's been crazy, bro. It's been a whirlwind. And like, if you would have told me about 5-10 years ago that I was going to be doing a clothing brand and doing, videography and photography, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know about that. But, I actually enjoy it, because it just gives me a chance to be creative and do, stuff like that. So, I've started off this year with a bang, and I'm definitely starting to drop more heat. I'm gonna be doing a lot of the sneaker cons and a lot of these pop-ups just to put the brand out there even more. So definitely people definitely gonna see me a lot more this year. Spring and summer right around the corner, so I plan on doing like low rider shows, all type events that I can get my hands on too, just to kind of put the brand out there, because I think people will fuck with it. And a lot of people are like you and really fuck with people out there trying to get it. And the fact that I'm here in Dallas, like, that's just even more like, we talked about, there's a lot of money in Texas and in Dallas. So, there's a market for everybody. And I think, it's just a matter of people learning to find their market and getting out there and trying to target, okay, these are the people I'm trying to get to, and doing it. If I can do it, if I can, and I got 5 kids, 4 dogs, a lot of responsibility, a lot of shit, like a lot of other people could do it. It's just a matter of people getting off the cell phone, putting that cell phone on mute.
Oh yeah. Shit, anything's possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, you just got to do it. Stop being lazy.
I mean, just like you, bro, like I said, I've known you for a minute, and to see where you've come on this type, how much your podcast has grown. And, I applaud you, because you're a person that inspires me too. Just to be like, hey, he likes doing it. That's what he's doing. Yeah. And, I show love to people like that, because, at the end of the day, like, we only got one life that we know of, and you got to make the best of it and try to make yourself happy and do things that you're really going to enjoy, and not just be part of the machine and work that 9 to 5. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but you gotta eventually kind of do what you love. You know what I mean? If you got to take care of the family and do what you do, definitely, but you got to find your passion and pursue it, and not just be like, maybe next time type shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but yeah, bro, I appreciate you having me out, bro. Like I said, this is the first podcast that, I mean, some other people have asked me, and it's just a matter of lining shit up. And I got to do that because, like I said, that's one of the things I've been lacking is my social media presence and really putting that out there. But it's because I'm producing the designs, making the clothes, and doing everything else. So, you know, I'm only one man, but, you know, I'm gonna get there, and you know, as the brand grows and I start selling more, I'm gonna plug in other people. Other people's have kind of been aligned already and kind of put in position that once it really goes, I kind of have the people that I need to kind of help me get there, because no one man person can do it. You know, even as an artist, you know, I learned to make beats, I learned to record myself, do the graphic design, the videos, do it all, but the time to do that, the energy, like it takes more than one person. So that's one thing that I learned, that to be a boss, like over yourself and do everything is cool, but like you have to have the right people part of the plan, because it's just impossible for one person to do it alone. You can't do it all. You gotta build your team. Yeah, you know, everybody that sees the same vision. You know, 'cause if somebody's off and they're seeing an alternative vision, then it ain't gonna work. Everybody got to be pushing for the same goal. You know, and at the end of the day, you know, gotta get it for sure. Nothing to it but to do it. So where can people find you at on social media? Yeah, so you know, man, bro, I don't even know my IG. The thing about it is, like, I had an Instagram and like for my music and shit, and motherfuckers reported me, so my shit got taken down. So I had a private, and I'm like, you know, fuck it, I'm just gonna whatever. I'm not gonna have two separate ones. So my Instagram is Mike_Savage_214. The Instagram for the brand is just Amirvivre Clothing, AIMERVIVRE Clothing. So don't be mad at me when you get on the Instagram like, man, this motherfucker don't post that much, because you know, I'm trying to get better at it. I know it's got to be part of the plan to really grow my business. So you know, it's definitely in plan. I've been doing all the other shit instead of focusing on the marketing. But now that I got all the other shit in line, the inventory, the designs, the website, everything set up in motion, now I'm gonna switch back over to marketing, advertising, and build it that way, and trying to really build a social media presence, build brand awareness, so people know, hey, this is a brand, somebody here, and we're here. Yeah. So, but yeah. Man, well, appreciate you stopping by, man, and sharing your story, man. And y'all make sure y'all check out my boy. You know, got the music, got the clothing line. Make sure you check him out, show him some love. I didn't even mention that. MikeSavage214.com. If you're like, who the fuck is this motherfucker? What is it? What music? MikeSavage214.com. You know, I got a couple songs with Cap G. You know, R&B, rap, a little bit of everything. So definitely check me out, check my music out too. It's all love. I appreciate all the people that support, the people that check me out. Hey, man, well, I wish you the best of luck in all your different ventures you got going on, man. I appreciate that, my boy. You know, and wish you the best, man. Hopefully one day, you know, I see your clothing line and all the major stores. Oh yeah, bro. Definitely. That's definitely a go. That's definitely a go, man. Well, I appreciate you stopping by, man, and you know, salute. Check out my boy Mike Savage, man, and clothing line's on fire, man. So make sure y'all go cop some gear. You know what I mean? And shit, it is what it is, man. It's only up from here, man. So make sure to keep your ears to the streets, and I'll catch you on the block, man. It's your boy Money Elms, man, and we out.
Welcome to Elm Street. Merch available now on sourkidsmerch.com.